Okay, we're live. Yes. Okay, we're live. We're live. Hey, guys. It's Old Man G here, back again. Obviously, representing Red Devil Studio. I'm joined today with Sava from the Spursy Podcast. For those of you who are aware, we did do a Manchester United versus Spurs preview just before, obviously, the Premier League restarted. And Sava was gracious enough to come to the show, and we had a good discussion about Manchester United and Spurs and where we saw things going. And a lot has changed since then. You know, better, worse, it depends on your perspective. But really, this isn't a United Spurs or preview. This is we're really going to be focusing on Jose Mourinho and having a conversation. And please, guys, get your questions in. Ask me or Sava, and just generally what you think about Jose Mourinho. But we really want to sort of have a conversation about whether he will be a success, because it seems Jose Mourinho is quite a divisive figure. And I think that's been the case because that's his personality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to because obviously as a United fan, I've got my own perspective and bias, but I really want to sort of get Sal to you to explain, give me a bit of background as to how Spurs' season has been going into obviously Jose Mourinho coming in and how he felt his spell has been.
Well, listen, it all depends on which Spurs fan you ask, my man. Look, I think you hit the nail on the head there. You know, Jose Mourinho, he is divisive, isn't he? There are those that understand that what he does is part of the theatre. It's part of his personality. It's what makes him blockbuster, and it is, because even now, even though he's not winning things at Spurs at the moment because he's been here for 6 months or whatever, he's blockbuster. People love his press conferences. They love to see what he's going to do on the touchline. But to be honest, I feel he's calmed down a lot since he's joined Spurs. I don't think we've got the same manager that you guys would have had on the touchline. What I saw with Man United was a very agitated guy who was almost felt like he was having to prove himself every week in press conferences to say, hang on, I'm Jose, I've won this.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas at Spurs, I don't think we're seeing that, and I think that's a good thing. Okay. Look, how's Jose Mourinho done since he's come in? It's been a very strange season. You know, we've gone from Champions League final, which was completely uncharted territory for a Tottenham Hotspur fan. You know, as United fans, you're used to these big occasions. We weren't used to it. And we kind of fallen apart from that. I won't go too deep into it, but it was actually quite bad for the 6 months previous to the Champions League final. But we started the season really bad. Poch got sacked, rightly so, in my opinion. Jose came in, and it's listen, I like to think I'm Marmite, but you know, Jose is the king of Marmite, isn't he? Yeah. So many Spurs fans won't give him that time. Okay. And you know, fans like myself get accused of loving Jose. I don't love Jose. I just feel that whether or not Jose was sacked, and if you came in and took the Spurs job, you need time. You need to get your point across. You need to buy players. So for me, I think he's being very harshly judged on a squad that isn't his. Having said that, my final point is his points tally return is good.
Okay, Phil. Just before we get into them, you obviously mentioned Pochettino and being rightfully sacked and stuff like that, and obviously that was a divisive decision in of itself. Like, can you kind of explain to me like how, you know, Spurs got from a situation that you rightly said where they went from a Champions League final to array and actually needing Jose Mourinho in the first place? Like, what was the sort of circumstances? Was it just Pochettino's tactics, or was there some background issues, or what?
Listen, you can't put the full blame at Mauricio Pochettino. Okay. But basically, I mean, I think if you look at the 2017 team that Spurs had, it was probably the best 11 on paper. Okay. You know, we were a very good team. When all 11 were fit, we could beat anyone on our day. We didn't lose at home for the whole year. Again, uncharted territory for Spurs. But unfortunately, what we didn't do is we didn't build from that. from all the United teams you've had that have won the leagues, you've never won a league and gone, oh, well, we'll just go again with this squad. Ferguson was brilliant at going, okay, look, let me lose a couple, but bring 2 or 3 in. Let me freshen up the changing room. Let me bring in some big stars so that these players don't feel comfortable that they're going to play every single game. And Spurs didn't do that. And slowly but surely, we started to chip away at the team. Walker went to Man City. Danny Rose completely dropped off and has now gone to Newcastle. Dembele started getting a lot more injuries and then went to China.
Trippier gone to Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, Trippier went to Atletico Madrid. Ericsson's gone to Inter Milan. Wanyama, started getting lots of injuries, but was, never replaced as a defensive holding midfielder. Kane was picking up injuries left, right, and centre. Son was picking up injuries, but also playing every minute on God's earth. And Toby and Jan at the back. We're getting older. The partnership wasn't as rock solid as it was. And because of that, you started to see, well, hang on, now that Poch hasn't got this 11, we're not as strong. And unfortunately, because of that, his points tally, starting from January 2019 to November 2019 when he was sacked, he got 25 points from 23 games.
Okay.
Now, lots of people didn't see this because we were in a Champions League final. The Champions League papered over that. But you tell me any manager at a club that isn't fighting relegation that can get away with 25 points from 23 games, he had to go. He had to go. And that's why we are where we are. Jose came in and the rest is history.
Fine. Fair enough. That's why I think it's good to sort of provide context. I think a lot of people, myself included, when obviously Pochettino was sacked, I think were more focused on what he did in the Champions League, which I still think was amazing. I'm sure Spurs fans remember the semi-final when Lucas Moura scored the hat-trick to the Champions League, and that's probably the best feeling being a Spurs in quite some time. So and frankly, I was rooting for Spurs to beat Liverpool, one, because I don't like Liverpool, and two, I just thought if Spurs won a CL before Arsenal, so because no matter what happened after that, Arsenal couldn't do anything, because you could brag, but it wasn't meant to be. But it's good, and I think it's very good that you highlighted like the reality that Spurs was actually going into it, because I don't think people really appreciate that really. And Jose Mourinho coming in, I think I looked at the statistics saying that, like you said, he's got a slightly better points tally than I think Pochettino was in his last couple of games or first couple of games.
It depends which way you slice it up. I mean, if you look at it, so Mourinho has now had exactly 23 league games. So if we look at Mourinho's first 23 games versus Pochettino's last 23 games, he's 16, 15 points better off. Now, whichever way you slice it up, that's 5 more wins. Now, that's 5 more wins with Pochettino's squad. So I'm not sitting here as a fan saying, oh my God, Jose Mourinho is the one, he's our saviour. Not at all. We're unlike any club he's ever been at. Right? Every club he's gone to in the last 15 years, he's been expected to win. He's been given a budget to win trophies. This is the first job where he's taken over and he's got a rebuild. And this isn't a rebuild where he can go, all right, I'll have a Lukaku at 80 million or whatever. I'll buy a Pogba at 90. This isn't that club. So I understand the skepticism of some Spurs fans, but, I thought it was quite nice for once to have a proven winner in. The options, we could have gone for another Pochettino type, the likes of Marcos Rose and Nagelsmann. That's great. But then what are we doing? We're just getting another manager that's never won anything, that's never got over the line. So I think it was important for Spurs to take this step. Now, many disagree, many agree. It's football, right? You're never going to
We're not going to get cool. No, I mean, for me, that was one of the things that, like, you know, when I look at because obviously Mourinho and Manchester United separated on terms, and I'll maybe talk a bit about that later as to why I have personal reservations with Mourinho at Spurs. I think one of the one of the things I thought was quite strange when Mourinho accepted the Spurs job was for the very reason that you stated, that Mourinho traditionally has gone to clubs that at the very least would give him what he wanted, to compete. And one of his complaints at Manchester United was that he wasn't getting the players that he was getting. So to go to a club that not only, you know, as you said, it looks like it's going to potentially be in need of a rebuild, you know, so which Jose Mourinho traditionally stays at a club for no more than 3 years, from what we see. But also going to a club where you've got an owner who, you know, getting money out of him is like getting, you know, so like water, you know, from like concrete. You know, you're not going to be able to get that money out of Daniel Levy. It just is what it is. So for him to accept that, it was like, is it because he's changed? You know, that he's now changing the way he's thinking, his thought process, etc., or is it because, you know, he wanted a challenge, or he wanted to stay in London or compete in the Premier League, etc.? You know, so I mean, I don't know what your thoughts about that. What made you think he actually took the job?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult, and let me just add a caveat here that when he sat down with Levy and had the conversation about, look, you know, you're going to become the Spurs manager or you're not. We don't know what was said. We don't know whether or not Levy's turned around and said, look, we haven't spent lately, but we're going to now big because of the stadium. We don't know that. What we will never know now is that even more, purely because of the fact that of COVID-19 and clubs now saying they're not going to have as much money to spend. What I do know is what we're going to see or not going to see from Jose in the next year, without lots of big signings, is some wheeling and dealing from his contacts across the world of football. Now, the difficulty that I think Jose is going to have is Daniel Levy notoriously doesn't get in the players that managers want.
Yeah. It's
almost as if they go to him and go, right, here's my first choice, my second choice. And he goes, no. Here's your fifth choice, or whatever it may be. Now, that's where it's going to be difficult, I think, to judge Mourinho as success, because everyone wants to say that Pochettino was a huge success at Spurs.
Okay.
But if you break it down, 6 years, no trophy, is that success?
Well, this is, I mean, just to because I mean, I think Rodney here, who I know is an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
And I was calling for you, Rodney, when Arsenal lost. Okay, you disappeared. You weren't there. So we need to have a conversation about where you were after that.
Sounds like Arsenal. That sounds like Arsenal.
You were hiding. But he does make a sort of a good point in that sense, in that, like, because despite maybe United fans, you know, so not really feeling that Jose Mourinho was an in quote success, and the style of football, etc. You know, it's been highlighted, and it's fair enough that at the end of the day, despite not being an in quote success, he still won trophies. He won a League Cup, and he won a Europa League, and also got second in the league. You know, so but he won 2 trophies. You know, is it a fair argument to say that, you know, even if Jose Mourinho didn't even get Tottenham back in the Champions League, but say won like a League Cup in all his tenure, I'm not trying to know the boundary, but would that be seen as more of a success, given that he's silverware? Then
I think it depends who you ask. I mean, for me, I think, look, I'll get a lot of hate for this, and I don't care. Spurs fans are arrogant. Spurs fans are very arrogant. When you say, oh my God, we should definitely go and try and win a league or FA Cup. Oh, what do we want to win that for? Sorry, what? We've won 1 trophy in 20 years. We should want to win a raffle, let alone win a league or an FA Cup. If Jose Mourinho stayed here for 2 years, right, 2 more years from this summer, and won any form of cup and then left, that's a success. It has to be. Because, look, Harry Redknapp had a great time in charge. Ultimately, didn't get over the line. Yeah? Pochettino had a great 6 years in charge from the point of view, lots of Champions Leagues, didn't get over the line. As a fan, in 30, 40 years, do I want to be saying to my kids, I was there when we won that cup, or, oh, hang on, 30 years ago, is that the year we finished third or second? No one remembers that. No one's going to remember the year. Like, the only reason we remember that we finished second in 2017 is because it hasn't happened before. In 30 years, no Spurs fan in the playground is going to be going to their Arsenal fans and their Arsenal mates, United mates. Well, we finished second 30 years ago. It doesn't mean anything now.
No.
And the big thing for me is, as much as, it's all about perception. It's all about reality. So I've seen Man United fans in your thread there will be talking about, Jose, he's gone. He didn't do anything for us. Well, hang on. Take a step back. You guys are not the club you were under Alex Ferguson, right? He came in, took over a very poor United squad, won you the Europa League, which is a tough competition to win.
Yeah.
And the League Cup in the same year.
Yeah.
Then finished second to a Man City that absolutely ran away with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, yes, it didn't go well in his third season, but most managers, if they left a club with 2 trophies in 2 years, 2 trophies in 2.5 years, a charity shield and a second place finish, you would turn around and go, that manager did well for us.
No, I agree.
I still see Spurs fans now going, oh, look at him at Man United. It was dreadful. I'm thinking, if we won 2 trophies in a year, we'd be making a DVD of it for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
So I think Spurs fans have got to realise that, we are not Man City. We are not Chelsea. Any cup would be good. Does that answer Rodney's question?
No, I'm sure it does. After some of his comments, he's now come out now from because he's now come out. It says, "I was at home, Red Devil. I'm out the cave now." That's good. That's good. At least you're out. So at least you're out, because I think later we might be talking about because if we're talking about issue with Spurs, and Arsenal is another story entirely. But we're talking about Mourinho here. So I mean, I will as a Manchester United fan, obviously Jose Mourinho was at the club for just under 3 years, and I think when he was announced to come, I think there was already, much like there was a Spurs, I think there was already division amongst United fans as to whether he should be there or not. Put simply, because they knew the style of football that he was bringing. I think a lot of Manchester United fans, there's a big thing about, the style of football that we want to play. You want to see attacking football. You want to see entertaining football. Even if you lose, you still want to see that type of football. And we knew that Jose Mourinho wasn't there. But on the other hand, a lot of people were saying, well, at the end, they were in a situation where we're not in Europe. So I don't think we qualified 5th in that season. So which I think ironically enough, Van Gaal won the FA Cup in that year. They got sacked, but we missed out on top 4, and so he got sacked because he turned up to 5th. So it's interesting. But anyway, we were going to get negative football, but we were going to say that's fine because we were going to get success. And to a certain extent, that happened. He didn't improve our league position per se. I think we still finished, 5th in his season, but we won the Europa League, which got us Champions League football. And I think also in that year we won the League Cup, and then obviously in the other seasons for that we finished in 2nd place, still in Champions League, although we didn't win any trophies. So even though the football wasn't great, the big thing with Mourinho, and possibly maybe this might have been highlighted by the Hugo Lloris versus Harry Son Fight Night episode, was the dressing room and the publicly outing of players, and certain preferences over certain players. Because if I'm honest, I think that a lot of the Pogba and Martial agenda started from Mourinho and that time, etc. So, and now that we look at how they're playing now, I mean, I saw Martial's goal yesterday. I know we're still 2-2, but it was exquisite, and I think he's massively improved. And Pogba is at least showing a bit of consistency now. So he's unlike, for example, a Solskjaer. I think it's clear that Mourinho plays a certain favoritism he has a certain. He will pick a certain amount of characters in his squad that are loyal to him.
Yeah.
And that will play to his. That's why I got Zlatan in, for example. That will play to his strengths. And even if a player has the potential to be good, if they don't necessarily play in the way that Jose Mourinho wants them to, or they have beef, they'll be frozen out of the squad completely. And that can be good if they're generally bad, but that can be bad if they've generally got potential and talent and what have you. I mean, we're seeing that, I think, with Dembele, for example. Sorry,
I was going to say about the Ndombele situation. I think it's really difficult because, look, if let me pick up all of what you said there. So first of all, if we talk about the style of football, right, and I'll answer Rodney's question in a minute about why wasn't Poch allowed to rebuild, because those quotes came too late for me. But I'll pick up on that in a minute.
Okay.
If we talk about the style of football, I think every manager's got their own different style of playing football, right? If we look at Pep, it's complete domination of a football, isn't it? Pep's game is about, I want Man City to have 65, 70% of the ball. When we haven't got it, win it back within 7 seconds, we go again, right? To play that, he needs energetic players, he needs technically gifted footballers, and he needs pace from his fullbacks, right? That's the way that Pep plays. He relies on the holding midfielder. He did with Busquets at Barcelona. He did with Lahm at Bayern Munich. Matic at Man United. He hasn't got that at Spurs.
No.
So when we're talking about a Mourinho style, yes, it's very different to Pep. Yeah. But he has his own style where it's about everybody has to put in the same work rate. He wants to build a spine. He wants, first and foremost, let's be difficult to beat. Let's make it a solid unit at the back. And all good teams, will win from the back. And no bigger casing point of that than the title race this season. Because Man City play much better football than Liverpool. Much better. You would always rather watch Man City than Liverpool. But I know you hate both of them, but you would. You'd rather watch Silva and Gundogan and Rodri and De Bruyne, and the list goes on. Why didn't Man City win the league this year? Because they were so bad at the back. Right? So for me, it's that balance. Now, at the moment at Spurs, what he's doing, he's making us very hard to beat at the back. Yes, it wasn't very good against Sheffield United, and we were terrible. But in all the other games since the restart, we've played 6, we've won 3, drawn 2, and lost 1. Right? We've had 3 clean sheets. The goal we let in against Arsenal was an absolute terrible mistake from Aurier and a great finish. Nothing you can do about that. The goal we let in against you guys was a penalty. So you can see that Jose's trying to make it tight at the back. Now, to go and play attacking football, you need certain components. You need fullbacks that you trust to get up and down, that can defend and attack. We haven't got that. You need a holding midfielder that will say to everyone else, go and attack. We haven't got that. You need a playmaker like Bruno Fernandes that the game can run through. We haven't got that. So at the moment, all these Spurs fans and people saying, oh, Mourinho's style of football, I'm not sure what they want to see, considering what he was left, considering the football was really bad under Pochettino for nearly a year. So the name of Jose Mourinho is also his best selling point, but also is the target on his back. Because if this was a younger manager that had that same squad, most of these fans would sit back and go, well, hang on, this isn't his squad yet. But at the moment, we're expecting miracles from the man.
Fine. I think one of the things important, and I'm going to if you address Rodney's point, actually, I think this was his question. This thing.
For me, I've got a real, I'll be honest, any Spurs fans who are in there at the moment, I can see a few that I know, they'll know I've got a real issue with this whole Poch wanted a rebuild. First and foremost, Poch said we needed a rebuild far too late. Far too late. Fans were calling for a rebuild years and years and years ago when Walker was first sold. And we could see that the bits of the puzzle was starting to unravel. Poch said for years, really happy with this squad. It's difficult to strengthen this squad. who would come here and sit on a bench. All of a sudden, when Poch started doing terribly, Rodney, that's the moment when he started going, I need a complete rebuild. And you're like, well, hang on. That's not what you've been saying. It can't be when everything's going well that we're great, and when it's not, oh, we need a massive rebuild. So for me, I don't buy into that. And also, if you look, Rodney, in the January window, that's complete lie. In last summer's window, he had 150 million to spend, right? And wasted it. Absolutely wasted it. Jack Clark, Sessegnon, Ndombele and Lo Celso. Now, when I say that about those players, what I mean is, Rodney, and you should know this being an Arsenal fan, the areas that we needed to address are like you. We needed to address the defence. We needed a holding midfielder. We're very similar to Arsenal. As much as Spurs and Arsenal fans hate to admit it, we're very similar clubs. And we didn't address any of those problem areas. And Poch, for me, wasted that £150 million. So for me, I don't buy into that. He said we needed a rebuild. Second of all, he didn't get us over the line when we had a better team than most. Why would you then want that guy to have another rebuild? Surely 6 years is enough, right? Surely if you've not won anything in 6 years, the guy missed his chance. I don't know. I don't know.
No, fair enough. I think you make good points, and I think Valentine was a fair point. The point definitely deserves a slice of the blame for where the team is now. I think Jay Spurs says Portugal for most football fans compared to Mourinho, and he also says,
and you know what, that goes a long way. That goes a long way as well, because when you are someone like Jose Mourinho, even to a lesser extent a Neil Warnock, when you are one of these lively, bubbly characters, people want to see you do badly, right? Where you've got Pochettino, it was too nice for me. It was. Oh, you know, but I wanted Poch to come out in some of those press conferences and go, "We weren't good today. I demand better." And it was all too nice for the players. Never dropped any of them. So for me, I think Pochettino's a fantastic coach. Is he a winner? I don't think so.
I mean, here's a question. Actually, I think here's a question because let's say Pochettino did win the Champions League, and he did won it, and frankly, you know, I think if he'd not played Kane, there would have been a good chance you would have won it. To be honest, you know, because I don't know how you feel about that, but like I didn't from a coaching point of view, I did not understand that at all. I was like, how can you?
I'll tell you in a minute. I'm not sure about that subject either. Don't worry.
Yeah,
and then can we answer after that? Can we answer Unknown Driller's question?
Yes. Right? And thank you for the super chat, by the way. Thank you so much for the super chat on this. I really, really appreciate it.
What's a super chat? What does that mean?
It's always yours. It's like a donation thing for people who God. So I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Sorry. Everyone said Jose's finished last week. No, after that derby, masterclass is back. Football fans are idiotic. I think that's good though, because I think especially because Rodney's in the chat, it's probably a good idea to talk about the like obviously going into the London derby, and then now the Rattle Lambs will be like, because what I've noticed, and this actually happened at Manchester United as well, was that when Jose Mourinho was coming up against teams where he had to make a statement, big team, right? You know, he would often either do one over on them, you know, whether that's old clubs like Chelsea or whatever. He would often do something from them, you know. So I'm curious as to how Spurs fans feel now following that derby result, and also like how he got about that win. You know?
Okay, let's take this from the beginning. So first and foremost, can I just address Unknown Driller? Is that all right?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Okay, my man. Look, everyone said Jose's finished last week, and now a masterclass is back. Look, not everyone said he's finished. For me, I don't know how anyone can look at a manager that even in his last job won 2 trophies in 3 years and say that man is finished. If he's finished, doesn't that mean that 99% of managers out there have never started, or they're all finished? I've never understood that mentality. Is he the manager he once was? Well, it's difficult to tell because, the squads he would have had at Madrid and Chelsea and Inter were fantastic. So we'll never know. If you gave him the Man City squad, he'd win the league, because the first and foremost thing that Jose Mourinho would do is buy a couple of centre halves, shore them up at the back, and then you'd see them play nice football. So for me, I think it's idiotic for anyone who said he's finished. A masterclass is back. I don't like the word masterclass. The way I like to see it is he out manages other managers. He does that all the time. He gets good results. And I think he almost finds it easier, if easy is the right word, against better managers and better teams, where he needs to put a game plan to counter theirs. What we need to see from Mourinho, as Spurs fans, definitely is when we're playing a Bournemouth, when we're playing a Norwich, the teams that sit 10 men behind the ball, what's his plan then? That's what the Spurs fans need to see. I'm sorry, I'll just interrupt you there, Sal, just to go to the point. I think that's, and I'm also just on Drill's sort of point is that, this was, I think, the thing at Manchester United that we saw a lot of the time. And that was why it was almost so difficult to break up is because what you sort of found was that there was certainly a lot of games where, like, even in the season that he was sacked, he wasn't, because a lot of United fans were calling him to be sacked after the severe defeat in the Champions League because it was just so poor. It was like the performance was poor, there was no fight, and people were angry that we exited the Champions League at that stage in comparison to, say, Oli versus PSG. But what you saw when the Premier League started was that so many times, I think against Newcastle, probably against Bournemouth, and I think maybe against West Ham, we were down and we concede, and maybe we concede 2 goals, and then in a flash, we win the game 3-2. Down 1 goal, in a flash, can 2-1. So you're kind of like, this isn't great, but we're winning, and it's gone. So that kind of, the reason why, so I'm probably in the fence of, because I know this guy, I guess, goes back to the idea of like what the expectation for Spurs fans is. Because if your expectation is that you want any trophy, then in my opinion, you stick with Jose Mourinho. Because in a one-on-one game, like in a sort of thing, especially if he's the underdog, especially if people think that he's going to be a failure, he will perform. But this is the thing. Lots of the big games where Pochettino failed in the semis and the finals, lots of Spurs fans will tell you, had we have had Mourinho, he would have done something different and we would have got over the line. Not all of them. I'm not saying he would have won everything, but he would have got over the line. But what Poch did...
If you had Mourinho in that Champions League final, I think you would have won that. I'm actually being serious here. I think you would have won the final.
I agree. And I think you've the best point you made there. It's about what do fans determine as success. So, for example, if I can just make a point, Giorgio B has said, Jose wins short term, right? He destroys clubs long term. He'll leave Spurs in tatters if you let him. So if I can I address that bit by bit?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So first and foremost, Jose wins short term. Let me tell you, Giorgio, as a Spurs fan, we haven't won anything for 12 years. I will take a win in the short term all day long, right? As a club like Man United, that's not what you're looking for, right? As a club like Man United, you're expected to win year in, year out. What I would say is destroys clubs long term. Did he destroy any of those clubs he was at long term? Let's have a look. Chelsea, when he left, still winning things. They were still winning things with any of their 75 managers they've had since him. I can't even name, like Conte, Avram Grant, Philippe Scolari, blah, 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 Ancelotti, all won things. Did he destroy them? No. Did he destroy Inter Milan? I don't believe that he did. He went there. He won them. Didn't he win the treble with Inter Milan? Or he definitely won the Champions League and the league? I don't think he destroyed them. Real Madrid, still been winning everything since he left. Chelsea, even since he left the second time round. You know, he went there, he won another league. Did he destroy? Okay, he had a bad start to the season. United, did he destroy you? You weren't that great, Giorgio, when he turned up. And if we bring it to the absolute present, if we're talking about him coming in and leaving Spurs in tatters, let's be really honest. And this is where you have to know our club. The club he picked up was in absolute tatters. Right? For those of Man United fans who don't know, Spurs, we have 2 recognised fullbacks in our whole squad. Right? 2. That's atrocious.
Right? Who's the other?
And Davis. Right?
Yeah.
We have no recognised defensive midfielder in the whole squad. That's atrocious. We have no playmaker since we sold Eriksen. That's atrocious. We have 1 striker in Harry Kane. So what is it that Jose can do to leave us in tatters? I don't understand. He's picked up a club that were 14th, that hadn't won an away game for 10 months, that had won 25 points from 23 games. What is he leaving in tatters? I'd be really interested to know.
I think that's well articulated, Sabra. So because I will always stop someone and say that I wouldn't say, you know, for me first and foremost, football is entertainment, and like I said, I think it is a question. It comes to expectation. So Manchester United fans, just because of the way we are, because of the money that we spend, because of the tradition history, we will have a high expectation from our club, from our managers. Yeah. And other clubs, you know, and I don't think we should be ashamed of that at all.
Yeah.
But Spurs, you know, and I think this is one of the things why, and I don't know if Rodney is still listening, where I think you have the difference between Spurs and say an Arsenal, because Arsenal obviously won Premier League titles, won the CL, and they want a trophy, you know, so they're, even though Arsenal in the same position as Spurs, their mindset is still, we need to be competing for the Premier League, for example, bringing the title. Whereas Spurs, realistically, we just want a trophy. We just want something, you know. So, and because of that, I think that Spurs are still in a better position to get something in the future than, say, an Arsenal Football Club. The simple fact that, like, I think resources and mentality are not kind of aligned. Arsenal Football Club don't have the resources to be able to compete with the top 4, in my opinion. Spurs. Pochettino did a business, and you never know what's going to happen. When you look at like the Premier League now, with teams like Wolves and Sheffield and Leicester and other teams that like are also backed by multimillionaires and billionaires pumping into their clubs, it's going to be harder. But at least if you're a manager that's got success in Jose Mourinho, where whatever you say about Jose Mourinho in a final, and this is what it comes to, like if you put Jose Mourinho in a final, he will win.
Yeah,
he will win.
I think that's the key thing. And look, Giorgio, sorry, mate, I wasn't having a pop. I was just trying to address your comment. For me, you know, Jose had a bad start with you in that season, and you removed him for Solskjaer. But you know, the fact is, he did come in. You hadn't been doing well at all. He won you 2 trophies. Then he got you second behind Man City, which, you know, you were best of the rest because City were flying. I think this all goes down to, you know, you guys aren't what you think you were anymore. You know, there would, no offense, but there was times where we would play Man United and it'd be like, that's 3 points for United. You know, that is, we are shit scared of Man United. You're a great club. You win the league every year. You're not there anymore. You are not there anymore. And I think Jose Mourinho made a point. I can't remember the exact point, but I remember seeing a press conference where he was trying to say, look, this isn't the Alex Ferguson era. We are not the dominant club in Europe anymore, you know. So look, did he do badly that season? Yeah, it wasn't going well, but you know, to turn around and say that he left you in tatters, I don't think he left you any worse than when he joined you, to be honest. Plus, you had trophies. So,
Yanaban here says, do you guys think if we bought Piatek in January, then sign Talas, Semedo, Savage, and Zuma, we can challenge Liverpool for the title? I can't remember, Yanaban. Are you? I think you're a Spurs fan. I think you're a Spurs fan.
Spurs or United?
Because if it's a United fan, like that's not going to happen. Like if it's like if it's a Spurs, if it's a Spurs fan, see, this is the thing. I mean, even if it's any team, this is the thing. Like,
Yeah,
when signing, for me, you can't sign more than 3 players in a transfer window, any transfer window, and then expect them all to gel, just like that.
yeah. And
It doesn't, it doesn't
you know
work.
it's what I've been talking about on my podcast for years. Well, I say for years. I've been talking about it for years, and ever since I started my podcast, is the frustrating thing for me. And if Rodney's still listening, this is the thing with the Poch era. We had such a good team that what we needed every summer was to add 1 or 2. Just bring 1 or 2 in slowly. As 1 or 2 leave, bring 1 or 2 in. Bringing in 5 or 6 players at any one time is tough. And even though it's Spurs at the moment, I mean, look at the positions I just listed. We need a right back, a left back, a centre back, a defensive midfielder, a playmaker, and a striker. You're not going to go and buy all 6, put all 6 into a starting 11 at once. It has to be a gradual process. The players he's mentioned, I would say, if I can answer for both Spurs and Man United, I don't think that those signings would make either of us win the title. Savic, is he talking about Milinkovic Savic from Lazio?
I would imagine so, yeah, because I can't think of any other Savic that would be
brilliant player. The rest, Zuma, I don't think United would want him. I don't think we would want him. Who knows? Look, at the end of the day, Man City next season, you can bet your bottom dollar this window they go out and buy some defenders. Bet your bottom dollar on it. They buy, even if they buy 1 world-class centre-half, like an Upamenko for 60, 70 million, a Koulibaly, next to Laporte.
And the big thing we're talking about here is that a lot of this is all about progression. When you look at Manchester City and Liverpool, that won, with the exception of Leicester City, which was just a freak of nature, all the other teams that have won the league, there's been some element of progression, of development, of investment to get to that point. Liverpool, it took them 4 years to sort of get to that point when obviously Klopp sort of turned, and obviously Pep with a backing of a state, frankly, but still there was progression of getting in players. Like, you can't just expect to just sign to go players and then go from barely making Europa League potentially to title winning, so bar some miracle.
I mean, Leicester broke the mold when they done that. Yeah. That's not going to happen again. Look, first and foremost, you've got to look at it like this: are Man City and Liverpool ever going to? Are they all of a sudden next season going to be 30, 40 points worse off than they are now? It's not going to happen. I think lots of clubs are going to be playing catch up. Look at Chelsea. Already, Chelsea are in the market. Werner, Ziyech, they're in the market for Havertz, for Ben Chilwell. Look at them; they're making big strides to try and gate crash that top 2.
Well, can I just address this statement? So Manchester United were irrelevant for 3 years before Mourinho arrived. Would you agree? At United's People TV. It depends what you define. It depends. So we had obviously Moyes and then Van Gaal for 2 years. I mean, it depends what you define as irrelevant. I would argue, I guess, in those 3 years, the only thing that we'd won was an FA Cup, but to be fair, Moyes got us to the quarterfinal of the Champions League. And what did Van Gaal do? The FA Cup, and I don't think much the group stages. So yeah. I don't actually disagree with the fact that Jose Mourinho was probably, after Sir Alex Ferguson, was our most successful manager in terms of what he achieved in terms of trophies and league position. Yeah. I just think that United fans, I think a big part of the thing is the type of football that we play. And I think you're more likely to give a manager more leeway if they're using academy players, it's flair, you're liking it, there's positivity, than a manager who at a base is quite negative and plays quite sort of negative football.
Can I just chip in with that, if that's all right? I think, listen, as a Spurs fan, look, we're meant to have grown up on this beautiful champagne football that everyone wants to see, and everyone wants to play like prime Barcelona and Man City. It can't. Not everyone can play like that. And as much as we want to judge managers on, oh my God, the football isn't pretty, sometimes the managers know better what they need to do to actually get a result. And there's no better kind of marker of that than right now. Loads of Spurs fans want Ndombele to start. But when you look at it, Jose Mourinho now is in a position where he needs grafters. He needs to know that every person he puts on that pitch is going to put in a shift. He's not going to get it from somebody like Ndombele. So, there's a reason why managers like Ferguson, like Mourinho, make the decisions they do, because they've won everything. Yeah. At the moment, I'm getting really fed up every time I go on Twitter. All I'm seeing is this new era clambering for all these young German and French managers who have never achieved anything or haven't achieved anything yet, because they're going to be the savior. On what basis? On what evidence is Nagelsmann going to come into Spurs or Man United and all of a sudden have them winning everything? It just, we've got to be, fans have got to be realistic.
I'm going to address Dan Sands, and I'm quickly going to just Unknown Dryler super chats. I'm going to address that, your super chat I sent Unknown Dryler. Dan Sands says, in first year, Manchester United, Mourinho won a Europa League. In second year, he won second, and then second against, obviously, a money-based City. In third, he was fired. I think he needs time for his methodology. Spurs need to trust Mo.
The problem is now is, as fans, I mean, you look at it, right? This is where I think some Spurs fans are an absolute disgrace. And I don't mind saying this. And I've got my own podcast at 8 p.m. I'll say it to them on that as well. Yeah. Where I think some Spurs fans are a disgrace, calling for his head. He's been here for 23 league games, right? 23 league games. In most of those games, he hasn't had Heung-min Son and Kane, our only two forward players. He's had injuries to Hugo Lloris, Ben Davis, Sissoko, Dyer, Alderweireld, Vertonghen. The list goes on. And ultimately, it's not his squad.
Yeah.
And any manager joining any club in the world, the first thing they're going to do is go, right, that's not my type of player. No matter what they say in the press. Mourinho's been on today telling Sky Sports, every player in the squad is in my plans for next year. We all know that's not the case, because some are going to leave, right?
Yeah.
But to expect a man to come in, take over another man's team that wasn't performing and turn them into world beaters when he hasn't got the tools. I mean, come on. If that's the case, what we're going to do is sack Jose, bring in another manager. Yeah. He won't have the tools. We'll sack him. And then we turn into Chelsea, but without the success. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So,
no, that's fair enough. Unknown Dryler, thank you very much for the super chat. Really, really appreciate it. Even in Jose's last days United, he beat Juve at their stadium, which he did out of nowhere, never writes him off. Would you guys agree he's the most criticized man? I think he's the most criticized man just because of his personality. Yeah. That's why, so I don't think anyone denies what Jose Mourinho has achieved. And I think you could even argue he has achieved more in his game than Pep Guardiola, though Pep obviously hasn't managed for as longer. But if you look at just total achievements, he won trebles with Porto and Inter, teams that, were in leagues or where they had opponents that were more dominant, i.e. Sporting in, I think, the Portuguese league, and Juventus in the Italian league. Obviously his success at Chelsea, his partial success at Real Madrid. So Jose Mourinho has achieved like a lot in his career. And based on his personality, he's I'm the best type of thing. He obviously gets criticized. But what I would always say about Jose is that if you place him in a final, if you place him in a final, any competition, yes, he can lose your knockouts, etc. But if there was a manager that I want to manage my team in a final, it's Jose Mourinho, because he will know how to get it done. And so if Spurs can somehow get to a final of a game, with a semi-decent squad backed by, Levy, which I think is part of the problem. I think we might address that question. Will actual Daniel Levy, given the COVID situation, will he actually back Jose in the first place? Then do some stuff. But I think that's like. Do you think Levy?
Do you know what? Unknown Driller. Look, from my point of view, yes, Jose Mourinho. The difficulty is when you've got a personality like his that bursts onto the scene and tells everyone, I am the special one. When you're at the top of your game, that's okay. But people don't forget, So when you're not doing so well, they want to chip and chip and chip away at you. That's fine. But when you look at that man's achievements, you know, like I was just saying there, when you look at that man's achievements, he broke the dominance of the great Barcelona team with Real Madrid. That Barcelona team looked unstoppable. You know, he broke Juventus's dominance with Inter Milan. You know, look at winning the Champions League with Porto. It's not going to... Amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. 2 different spells at Chelsea, multiple titles. You know, took over a deadbeat Man United team, won 2 trophies, got them to second. This man, the amount of abuse he gets is shocking. That to think there are managers out there that win nothing ever, that have never won anything, and I'm being told this is the guy that we should have got. And I'm thinking, why? Why?
Yeah.
A man that's done
won a trophy at every club he's been to. At every club he's been to, even when he came back to Chelsea, he's won a trophy. So, you know, it might not be the trophy he necessarily want, but he has won a trophy at the end of the day. So
I just don't get it. I mean, I think sometimes that we want to see people look at Man City, for example, right? Man City, forget that you're Man United fans for 1 second. Everyone was so, let's hope they get banned from the Champions League. No one wanted to even look at the facts. No one cares if they're innocent, do they, anymore? No one cares. Everyone was just like, we want them out. We want Pep to fail. In Pep's first year in England, everyone was like, see, you can't hack it over here. We wanted to hammer the man down. And then what did he do? He dominated for 2 years. We hate winners. It's natural. People hate winners. And it's weird.
100 is the point. At what point did you become Jose out? And will Ole be more successful than Jose if he predicted? I think I became. I think it was when it was based obviously on our position. Obviously, that was a big thing, our league position, because I think at that point we were probably about 11th, I think, in the league, which wasn't ideal. And I think we combined that with the negativity that was around the club. You know, I think that when you bench Paul Pogba and play Marouane Fellaini, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying Marouane Fellaini didn't have his uses. And to be honest, I'm not one of those Manchester United fans that says we have to get all the best players and play silky smooth. I do think that you do have to have a plan B. So if that plan B is a Lukaku or Fellaini that you just lob the ball up to do something, that's fine. It can't all just be the perfect starting 11. And that's actually one of my issues with Pep. And one of the reasons why I feel like he hasn't been successful in the Champions League is that when your plan A doesn't work, you need to have a plan B that's also good. Jose Mourinho, one of the things he's good at is that he does that. He's a pragmatic coach. So like, if my plan doesn't work, what is my plan B? I'll do my plan B. But I think the toxicity, the link position, the benching of players, and the general sort of negativity around Manchester United. Also, it just looked like, to be honest, he didn't want to be there because I have a feeling that he would have much rather preferred to stay in London than come to Manchester. I think he was renting a house in Manchester. He never actually moved to Manchester. So I think from that point of view, I think that's why I was like, you know what, it's probably best to just go separate ways. And as far as Ole obviously being more successful, I think I'm not sure. I think there's potential this season because, I mean, for example, if we finish in the top 4 and he wins the Europa League and FA Cup, you could argue probably that alone this season, especially considering where we were, you could argue that would be more successful than Jose if he does that. We'll see. I think the thing that United fans obviously is difficult because Ole was obviously a Manchester United player, and you're obviously going to give more time to someone who was a legend of the club than someone who wasn't. But also the type of football that was in Manchester United is a lot more progressive and positive. And so again,
can I ask you two a question?
Go on.
Let me ask you an Unknown Driller question.
Go on.
Unknown Driller's Man United, right? Is he Man United?
Sorry?
Is Unknown Driller Man United or?
I think he might be Spurs. I think.
So the way I look at this, if with Ole, could it be more successful? So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had the second half of last season. He's had all of this season. Let's say he doesn't win anything this year or next year. has he done better than Jose? Even if he plays better football, has he done better? If he goes the same amount of time as Jose had and doesn't bring a trophy to United, again, it's how are you measuring success? For me, it's trophies. For me, we all want to see Harlem Globetrotter football. But if a man gets you over the line and puts you in the history books, yeah. Can we just point out, I don't know if any of you have seen this, but Wigan was 7-0 up at half-time against Hull. Just thought I'd share that with you. 7-0.
7-0 up.
7-0.
My goodness, how is that like? If we saw that score in the Premier League, so I'm hoping we'll see that score in the Premier League at some point. Maybe Liverpool can do United a favour and sort of smack Chelsea for us, So I think, in fact, Spurs fans, you guys are playing. I think you're playing Leicester at some point. So I think a lot of United fans here in the chat are saying, actually will be Jose Mourinho supporters. So although we were out, we're like, Jose.
We've got Newcastle United away tomorrow. Then we've got Leicester City at home on Saturday or Sunday. And then we've got Palace away in our final game.
Leicester game, I will specifically be tuning in because if Jose is able to do one on Leicester, I think that gives us a bit of breathing room going into the final game of the season with potentially securing top 4. So I think you'll see a lot of the Jose out people being Jose. We appreciate you.
yeah. It's the sort of game. It's the sort of game he'll do well in as well.
Man, just always need backing from the board. Quickly going through. Agree. When Jose finished second, he wasn't backed properly and was bought Dalot, Fred, and Lee Grant. City and Liverpool had then pushed ahead. If he was backed, he would still be there now. I actually do agree with that statement, actually, because he actually asked for a centre back in his final year. He asked, I need a centre back, a sort of centre back, and he wasn't given the backing. So I don't disagree with the fact that Manchester United Football Club, and I think this is the case for all managers at Manchester United. They were asked for certain players and they didn't. But I think my thing is unknown driller is that, and I guess this is where we started the whole podcast, was that do you think he's going to get that backing by Daniel Levy at Spurs?
No.
I don't think so.
But the problem is whoever comes to Spurs isn't going to get that backing. And this is my problem, and completely different topic, but this is why I hate the owners. This is why I don't like the owners. If you're not going to back the managers, Savra is on Daniel Levy's Christmas card list. Yeah, me and Daniel are always going out for drinks together. I think they're crooks. I think they're charging us the earth, and they're charging us to go into Harrods, but then when we go to the shelves, it's stocked with little goods. It's just not right. So for me, I think if Jose does win anything with us, fair play to him, because it's going to be tough.
Cool. We'll start to wrap things up. I'm going to ask comments if anyone has any specific questions for Savra or myself, just regarding just obviously Jose Mourinho and Spurs, or just in general regarding Spurs, obviously, or Manchester United. But we certainly taken some questions for the last maybe just 5 to 10 minutes. But I just quickly scroll through some of these comments. Jose likes to blame others when things go wrong.
Name me a manager that doesn't.
See, if I was Jose, I'd get rid of at least 8 players. Okay, so what 8 players would you get rid of?
Which 8 players would I get rid of? I'd get rid of about 20 of them, if I'm really honest. I don't think it's a good squad. I'd get rid of Dele Alli. I'd get rid of Harry Winks. I'd get rid of Davis. I'd get rid of Aurier. I'd get rid of Foyth, Sanchez, Sissoko, Lamela. Just lots of players that are never going to win you anything.
Quite frankly, no player safe at Spurs as far as I'm concerned. Fair enough. Ollie's not as divisive as Jose. Okay.
I mean, he might not be as divisive, but listen, if he doesn't win you 2 trophies, who are you going to back?
Oh, Somali Flame, who I know is a Chelsea fan, says, "Hi, bro. You still think United are finishing ahead of Chelsea? You just focus on beating Norwich today, because if you don't beat Norwich, then you can forget about finishing top 4, quite frankly. You should beat Norwich, but who knows? You still have to play Liverpool and Wolves, which are going to be tough games. I mean, I actually, Simon, what we're like, who do you think, in your personal opinion, is going to finish top 4?
Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously like Liverpool City. Do you know what? Up until last night, I thought, man, you were flying. I thought you guys were flying. I don't know the last 3 games. I think it's going to be United and Chelsea. I think Leicester will drop out. I think the pandemic has killed them.
Yeah.
It's killed them.
Literally.
Yeah, it has. I think it will be Chelsea and Man United, and then I honestly believe that will be the top 4 next year in no particular order, but I think that is going to be the top 4 for years to come.
And it's interesting. I mean, the only thing on the United game I saw last night was just that it looked like the players had quite a bit of fatigue. So I think just the positives that we didn't lose. So we still crept a point behind. I think we're level on points with Leicester now on points. Just their goal difference is better. I bet marginally. And we're just 1 point behind Chelsea, So, but I do.
But 16 unbeaten. You're 16 unbeaten now. I mean,
18 actually. 18 positions. It's just
18. That's phenomenal. And I think what I've seen from United, if I'm honest, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that you've got a very good 11. When the fact that he's played that 11, 5 games in a row now. You've got a very good 11. I would suggest that what he will want to do in the summer is get a bit more bulk to the squad. Just some top players to add to that.
Oh, George said both United and Leicester will finish ahead of Chelsea. I think that will. The only possible way I could see that happening is, I think the only thing is that I can't see Chelsea getting a result at Anfield against Liverpool, because I think they have to play Norwich away to Liverpool and then Wolves, I think, away or at home. I can't remember. So will they get a result at Anfield? A win? Probably not. A draw? Maybe, So
can you do me a favor?
Can
you bring up that message from Nathaniel James? Second to bottom.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Don't worry, I've got no problem addressing people like this. First of all, Nathaniel James.
I've just seen it.
First of all, Nathaniel James, right? If you're going to be a big man, don't hide behind a picture of Jamie Vardy, right? Second of all, I'm not ungrateful. Mauricio Pochettino took us to a Champions League final. Yes, he did. No one is denying that. He did very, very well. I'd rather he'd lift a cup against Wigan. Well, I'd rather he won something, yes, because getting to finals doesn't actually mean anything. If you don't win them, it doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't go in the record books. I'm not sure why people always want to use this Wigan, because Wigan won the FA Cup once. People always say to me, "What, you'd rather we be like Wigan?" Why is it, Nathaniel, that if Spurs win a cup, it means we have to get relegated? I don't get it. Also, Levy built the best stadium in the world, right? Okay, I don't care. I would go over to Hackney Marshes if it meant we won something. I don't care about the stadium. I go every home game. For me, that I loved White Hart Lane. The atmosphere was 10 times better. This stadium is it's a money spinner. This is an entertainment venue for Anthony Joshua to fight, to watch Lady Gaga and Guns N' Roses sing. I don't care. He didn't build that for me. He built that so he could charge me £80 a game to watch people like Serge Aurier and Ben Davies play. So thanks for popping into all my podcasts as normal, Nathaniel. I would love one day to see you stop behind Jamie Vardy. No one knows who you support. If you do support Spurs, which it looks like you do, why have you got a picture of Jamie Vardy? I mean, Nathaniel, you're a legend. Much love.
Much love.
Sorry.
No animosity there between you guys. It looks like the history is there.
Don't know him. Don't know the guy. Pops up in all my podcasts, and I just don't understand.
It's always good to have. I mean, at the end of this, it's always good to have diversity of opinion. I think that's very important, and I will agree to disagree. And like I said, I still, if I'm honest, still don't see Jose Mourinho long term working out for Spurs. I don't think that's the case. But I'm balanced enough to say, if Spurs' definition of success is any trophy, any trophy, and they're like, we'll take that for a short-term basis, then I think it's reasonable to say Jose Mourinho is not a bad fit. That's reasonable.
Do you know what it is as well?
Yeah.
I think what it. Yeah, sorry, Gary has said, Nathaniel, come on my show at 8:00 and we'll have a debate. I think what we've got to understand as well. What I'm not saying as a Spurs fan is I want to win a League Cup and then nothing else. No one's saying that, mate. What I'm saying is start somewhere. When you've won nothing for 12 years, get some winning mentality into the club. Let's not keep pretending that losing finals and semi-finals is success. That's not. That's good. The Champions League was a fantastic cup run. We didn't play that well in most of it, but it was a great cup run. But as I said earlier in the show to you, in 20 years' time, do we want to be saying to our kids, well, we got to a Champions League final once? No, not really. No. Not really. So people need to let's win a league or FA Cup. Then we can build on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Shout out to Rodney. Yes, if we're a bit, I think I like this actually. So because I know this is a Manchester United fan channel, but I do like. I've noticed that I'm a football fan first, and I do like doing this kind of shows where we speak about other teams and their form and how they're doing and getting people on and sort of diversifying things a bit. So by all means, I think I'd be happy to do something with an Arsenal type of sort of situation or City or Liverpool, etc. Just have a conversation and just get people's views on. Be good.
Do you know? I'll tell you what, and anyone listening, the reason why I started a podcast is I think everything comes across so much better when we're talking. Yeah. You're not governed to 140 characters on Twitter or typing in a text box. You can actually turn around and explain what you mean.
Here's a question. I think Georgia B again says, what would it take for you to sour on Jose?
Listen, I've said it since he joined. I keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. For me, it's not about Jose. Yeah, it's about whoever is in that manager's seat, whether that is Jose now or whether that was Poch, whether the next manager is Brendan Rodgers, Eddie. I don't care. For me, any manager, give them time, let them get their own players in, then judge them. If he gets 4 or 5 of his own players in, and in a year's time, we're not doing well, and the football is awful, I'll be at the front of the queue with my Jose Mourinho out banner. Not literally a banner, but I will say it. Yeah. I just don't understand football fans that can't see a change of manager means a change of everything. It's not, no manager will come in and go, I'm happy with this complete squad. So what I would say is look at Pep Guardiola in his first year at Man City. What did he do? He looked at all the older players and went, nah, gone. He bought 4 new fullbacks. Yeah, he ripped it apart because he wanted his own players.
And Red Devil Weekly, I think, and shout out to Red Devil Weekly as a fellow Manchester United fan, and does great content on his channel over there. So head over if you can. You have to give Jose the players he wants. He can be successful if backed well. So when he says, I need a CB, Levy and the board have to oblige. And I think that basically summarizes he will be successful at Spurs if he's backed. And if he's not backed, then he might not be as successful. I think it's as simple as that, really.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, if you're not backed, you're not going to succeed. Okay. At the end of the day, the way I see it, like my man Nathaniel, I get it. People like Enoch. To say we're better than we were 10 years ago, in what way? We're about to finish 7th or 8th. We haven't finished 7th or 8th for about 15 years. So, no, we're not better than we were 10 years ago on the pitch. What we are better 10 years ago is our standing off the pitch.
Oh, as a football making a few responses to so we are a bigger club than we were 10 years ago. We regard as top 4 now, best in the world, top manager. You hate on Levy like he chose Heung and Immobile. Puch did. Levy is a genius. He pins all the blame on Levy instead of Enoch because it's the easier thing to say.
Let me just say, and then I must go, mate, because I've got to get ready for my own show. Let me just say,
I agree.
Let me just say, Levy and ENIC, I hate them both. I don't pin all the blame on one person. I hate them as an organisation. I want them out. Yeah, I want them out. This isn't 1 year of things they've done. This is 20 years. And for any United fans watching this, let me tell you this before any Spurs fans tell you how great we are. The 20 years that ENIC have owned this club, we've won 1 trophy. Okay? The 20 years before ENIC joined, we won 5. So when people want to talk to me about how we're better, at what? Because I'm a football fan. I don't go and celebrate a stadium. Yeah? I don't go and worship our marketing team because they've sold more shirts. Don't care about that. I want to see something on that grass. Anyway, I've really got to go.
That's cool. Thank you so much. I'll just say, guys, thank you so much. Remember to like the vid. Remember for those who are watching to head over to the Spursy Podcast because these are literally, is it 8 o'clock? Is it? Head over to Spursy Podcast. Links are in the description to get involved and basically hear about him speaking about Spurs. Always love him. I always love him coming onto the channel. Thank you guys so much for listening. Really, really appreciate it. Have a nice day, everyone. We will try and hopefully do this again with different fans from different clubs. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, guys, and cheers.
Thank you for having me. See you later.